Hey guys, so welcome to the eighth episode, season four of the Team Express show. And in this season, we are going to discuss journeys of various podcasters all around the world and how they are doing podcasts, their future goals, and many more. And in today's episode, I have someone really interesting because the how I actually found it is definitely have to say this because I saw one of her comments in in a Facebook post, and I wondered like when she had RJ on her name, I wondered like I never actually seen many RJs doing podcasts. So I came to her profile and saw her that the voiceover is so astonishing. I can't believe like if she ever did a commercial for any one of the marketing companies and all, definitely the leads would be like extremely great. And so she's been a radio jockey for 10 years almost, so a TV host for 2 years, and now she's doing podcasts and everything. And there are plenty more she has done, and definitely leave in the description because if we go on doing that, almost the whole podcast would be over. So without further ado, let me introduce to RJ Aakanksha. I guess I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. So please tell about yourself and your
Yes.
podcasting career so far.
Thank you so much. Majorly people
Mhm.
mistake in spelling out my name. So I spell my name with double A. So that's
Yeah.
where they majorly do the mistake. As far as the pronunciation is concerned, you were almost there. And I always give benefit of doubt, and because pronunciation is one thing. In
Mm-hmm.
the year 2020, we should be very, very neutral about.
Mm-hmm.
People of different origins, they will have different kind of pronunciation, so we should be very neutral about that. And thank you so much for the nice introduction. I think with such introduction, I always feel that I'm jack of all trades, but I'm master of none. But I
Yeah.
think that is my strength.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question, that podcast is not my full-time career.
Mm-hmm.
Podcast is something which will be my full-time career. And why I'm saying will be with so much of confidence, because I know that
Yeah.
podcast is the next radio for another 10 years.
Yeah.
And as you said, that I've spent 10 years in radio. So when I started radio, I was the first child of second revolution, which
Mm-hmm.
happened in the non-metro cities.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed the airwaves for about 10, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that podcast is going to be there for another 10, 12 years. It's going to be,
Yeah.
there is a huge growth. So I think I'm going to get that early bird luck. It's not my full-time career.
Mm-hmm.
I am still a radio host with the corporate radio. Besides this, yes, I am also a full-time voiceover artist. I do voicing for a lot of brands. And yes, I'm also a video presenter for various videos. So that's about it.
Wow, awesome. And this is I have actually a friend of mine. She actually started her career in RJ as because she always says that I love to talk to people. Like that's one of the main reasons why she started doing RJ, and she talks a lot. She really talks a lot. Okay, but is there any other reason why people choose to be an RJ? Because it's not an easy job. Because when you start it and you keep on talking, and if you can't find and if you find a person that doesn't vibe with you right in the middle of that, your whole day might get shut. That's some reasons for it. So is there anything for your reason you have like for to be in RJ, anything like that?
Well, I'll pick from your question only. You yourself said that you have a friend and she talks a lot. She talks a lot.
Yeah.
That expression is not a compliment.
No, it's a compliment in a way,
In
exaggerating.
in a way that sometimes you feel like, oh my God, when she will be shut.
For me,
But
yeah, for me, yes, not for
that
everyone.
is absolutely a huge myth. That's
Yeah.
absolutely a huge myth. If somebody comes and say that I want to become a radio jockey because I
Hmm.
talk a lot, I love
Yeah.
talking to people, that is absolutely a myth. To become
Hmm.
a radio jockey, you do not need to love talking, but you need to love to talk sense.
Uh,
When you make sense, only then people will listen. Number
hmm.
one, I do not like talking to people a lot. I like talking to them only when I'm interviewing them, because
Hmm.
there is a process that you're following. There is a
Yeah.
process that you're exploring the person. Only then I like to talk. Or otherwise, if I'm on a date with somebody, only then I like to talk. Otherwise, I don't like to talk. So, very importantly,
Hmm.
rule number one, to become a radio jockey, you need to know why what is there in you that makes sense, that people would
Hmm.
like to listen. You want
Yeah.
to talk would not make you a great RJ.
Hmm.
You talk sense will make you a great RJ. Why I became a radio jockey? Well, it was by a fluke, because I didn't, there was not much exposure by then. Like, I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about like 12 years ago, 2006. There, Facebook had barely arrived in our
Yeah.
country. It was Orkut there. Orkut had even, they were just on
Yeah.
their very nascent stage. And I didn't even know that radio can be a full-time career. And
Mm-hmm.
radio jockey is just one post in radio. There are a lot of posts and positions that one can work and take up as a career. So it's a serious business, very serious business.
Oh, great. So, what's your thoughts on people like, now you've jumped from radio, you've jumped on to podcasting because you know that in the next 10 years or 20 years, podcasting will be there like as the next radio. So, do you think that, this radio business will go out of like, the radio will go out of it, or will it stay and as a like, competitor for the podcasting? Like, because you came out of it and still in that. So, what's your thoughts on that?
Exactly. So radio will exist
Mm-hmm.
because there is a very apt example I can give you, that Doordarshan.
Yeah.
Doordarshan is still exists.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a competition, it was a very, very fierce competition to all the cable channels during the lockdown,
Mm-hmm.
because they had the strongest content,
Yeah.
Mahabharata and Ramayana. Okay. They will exist.
Mm-hmm.
FM will exist as a competitor, because India as a country has got a varied economic levels,
Mm-hmm.
geographical levels. That is why everybody cannot be on app, and
Yeah.
everybody cannot be on radio. You have got listenership in parts and portions, varying across the country.
Mm-hmm.
So FM radio is going to be there. Yes, the means to survive, or they would have to do some kind of makeover for their existence. That is for sure, but it will remain.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's this product called Sarigama Carvan. Okay, that's this. It's called a small radio, and it's actually containing full of old songs and everything. And I've always wondered, like being an MBA is kind of my thing to analyze why it's in the market everything and stuff to look at that point of view. So I wondered like why it came onto the product like after such long years. Then only I get to know that like there's a huge market for like old age people, like 60 years or 70 years. They still listen to the song because they hate now the hip hop and everything. They totally hate it. If there's someone hear it, I mean, like obviously they will say, "What the hell is this song?" So yeah, I think for that format, I think it's going to be great. So what's your thoughts on that? Like this you've been in radio jockey for 10 years. What's your thoughts on this cultural change when it comes to being an RJ or podcaster? What's your thoughts on that?
Well, when you're a radio jockey, you are representing a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And being on air, that comes with a lot of rules and regulations.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot talk about politics, you cannot talk about sex, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot talk about your personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There have been times that I really had a very different personal opinion, but I could not put it on air because
Mm-hmm.
I was absolutely representing a brand.
Yeah.
And there are serious rules that you're supposed to follow. As far as podcast is concerned in India, at the
Mm-hmm.
moment, there are not much regulations.
Yeah.
It's just that if your content is explicit, you just need to tick it as explicit. And
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of podcasters, uh, I would not say, but a lot of females are also taking advantage of it by putting a little explicit content in podcast. And that is also by garnering, that kind of listenership. I'm not in pro in that, but yes, in my episodes, you will see there is one episode which I have also ticked as
Mm-hmm.
explicit, because I've talked certain portions where I felt that my listeners should know, be aware that there can be a moment like that. With podcast, there is one positive thing is that majorly there is only a solo person who would listen to a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But when it is radio, it's a group of people who are listening.
Mm-hmm.
So the major difference comes in. For example, what happens is that a lot of magazines you would find feature sex-related problems.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? It is very easy to there, because you read a magazine alone. There is no one else watching you that what are you reading.
Yeah.
So you listen to a podcast alone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's much easier to put every kind of content there. But just like we have got aesthetics in clothes and looks, there has to be aesthetics in audio also. If you're serving any kind of explicit content, there has to be a purpose.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that is my.
Oh, great. And one good point that you mentioned is that when you're talking, you are like representing a brand, not your personal opinion. I think many people suffer
Hmm.
from this because when you're representing a brand, and it actually kind of contradicts with your personal opinion, many people
Hmm.
would like fall into this depression, like I'm doing something wrong, it's against my ethics, and everything and stuff. How do you actually overcome that? Like, in business, this actually sorry to interrupt, just I just want to clear things up. In business, I actually kind of have this personal role, because when my client asking me to, when he sends a text like, do this, please do this fast, something like that, when he doesn't add my name in front, like, Jeff, please do this, or anything like that, I kind of feel like, I don't know, out of the context a little bit, like, he's being rude or anything. I'm being like childish, I know, but I don't know, when some people doesn't use my name, and just sends a text like, do this and do that, it kind of being rude. And yeah, I know it's just business, but still I kind of get personal to it. So how do I suggest that people actually get away from that?
Well, I think you asked like two
Yeah,
questions.
two
One
things.
was
Yeah.
that when your opinion
Hmm.
contradicts
With your brand. Yeah.
with your on-air profile,
Hmm.
then you tend to feel that what are you doing and why are you doing this, which happened with me also. Like after like 7-8 years in radio, 9 years in radio, even
Hmm.
I started feeling similar way
Hmm.
that why am I doing this? It is not correct. Okay, so at that point, I took a break from radio and I
Hmm.
joined TV. Okay, so that's majorly
Two
I could
different
do.
things that are.
Yeah, so I joined radio. That's
Hmm.
it, and I joined, sorry,
TV. Yeah.
TV. And to answer your second question, I'm not really sure about how it works outside India, but in
Hmm.
India, the major problem is that people have this tendency, even the companies and employers have this tendency to seek that if that person is employee of mine, or if
Hmm.
I have delegated any kind of work to that person becomes my personal slave. That
Yeah.
is a very
Hmm.
I do not know how what exactly to label that kind of mentality. Maybe
Hmm.
because we were slaves for so long here, that is the mentality that we have. We always say, I'm working for that company. We
Hmm.
never say, I'm working
With.
with that
Yeah.
company. Okay, that is number one difference. Now, because I'm working as a freelancer, and even when I was in a job, I
Hmm.
have worked on a lot of freelance assignments.
Hmm.
A lot of employees have this tendency to think that because I'm giving job to this person, I own this person, and I that gives me right to talk to that person in any way. Sometimes, it is because our sheer need of money, we
Hmm.
agree or we succumb to those circumstances.
Hmm.
But what I would say is that always reply and give your viewpoint. That's what I do. As a single mother, I am also the sole bread earner for my family. That is for
Hmm.
myself and for my daughter. No one else pays my bills.
Hmm.
In that case, there are times where I felt that this employer is not treating me nicely.
Hmm.
I make sure that next time in future I would not work with that employer.
Wow.
That's how I try to perceive, or I try to change that person's opinion.
And yeah, I agree on that. And but that's just this one contradiction. I think everyone would say that if we do that, we lose our job sometimes. Okay, because if people
Yes,
sometimes, like, who's having like a poor background and everything, and so what do you want to tell to those people if they say that as an excuse?
that's what I said. That situations never remain the same.
Uh,
That's what I said. That there have been times when I was doing some kind of job where there was a fear in my mind that I will lose my job.
mm-hmm.
But now the situation is not same. I do not have that fear. I know if I will lose this job or if I will lose this assignment, I will get something else because I'm very confident. So this situation will not remain same.
Mm-hmm.
So for that situation, for that point of time, I think you need to adjust with the circumstances.
Yeah.
But then work on your skill this much that from next time onwards, you know that you are very confident about your skill
Mm-hmm.
and you will win that situation. That is the only thing. You can only work on yourself. You cannot change other person.
Yeah, exactly. And to be honest, I actually needed that sentence, so thank you for that as well. So another thing I want to ask you is that, so as you said, you've been RJ for 10 years, how did it actually help in the career of podcasting? Because being an RJ, it's kind of like, it's being live, right? When it comes to like, radio, it's like being live, but in podcasting, you just record it and publish it. That's different, like you said. So how did actually that career help when it comes to you?
Well, with RJing, I was always a radio jockey who
Mm-hmm.
used to select her own content
Mm-hmm.
and develop her own content. So this helped me. With this, I have a practice of developing new content every week.
Mm-hmm.
My podcast is a monologue. It's not a guest based
Mm-hmm.
or interview based format.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you develop a monologue, you have to work on your own content. There is no
Mm-hmm.
one else is contributing the content. So
Yeah.
if, let's say, I'm making a podcast of 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
so if 8 minutes other person is speaking and 2 minutes I am talking, I have got 8 minutes of content. I've
Yeah.
just explored that personality. So now your major work remains in just finding out a guest,
Mm-hmm.
arranging a guest, and getting them. So that is your energy is going in. So it arging helped me, number one, in generating content.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is the understanding the audio part of it. I
Mm-hmm.
already had my mic in place, my
Yeah.
softwares in place. I already had that complete audio knowledge. In fact, a lot of people who heard my podcast even commented the similar thing, that your podcast audio is very good, very clear.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me. And the third thing, what I feel is that as a radio jockey also, I talk to one person.
Mm-hmm.
And as a podcaster also, I talk to one person. Okay. So when you imagine one person and talk to that person, it helps you build a one-to-one connection. That is why
Mm-hmm.
last night also somebody just messaged me on my Instagram that I heard your podcast, and there was an instant smile on my face. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because he or she, I do not know if it was he or she could relate. So relatability factor comes in when there is a one-to-one connection. Could be various other formats of podcast also, but this is the trick that I follow.
Any tips on like how to improve that, like any like like perfect sentence or anything like that to build that one-to-one connection?
Well, there can be hundreds of rules
Mm-hmm.
which one can teach you,
uh,
but there are no rules. Once you do this on your own,
mm-hmm.
see, you would say again and again, I'm saying skill. I have
Mm-hmm.
never used the word talent.
Yeah.
Okay, because RJing podcasting is not a talent, it's a skill that you have acquired.
Mm-hmm.
And to practice a skill means practice it daily.
Mm-hmm.
So you will hone your skills. So this is a basic exercise that I can suggest. There are no rules to it. When you do it on your own, only then you would be able to crack it. So make your own
Mm-hmm.
rules.
That's good. So this is kind of something that I got inspired you from because of your voice, right? So your voice, that's the way you do things, that was totally amazing. So podcasting, people will say that it's called finding your voice. When someone found your voice, then that's how it also will be like everything. So in your podcast, what does your voice represent?
Well, my voice, the name of my podcast is Better Version with Me,
Mm-hmm.
wherein the headline is, which I've recently actually explored the headline. Earlier,
Mm-hmm.
it was like just giving you the better chapters of my life. And
Mm-hmm.
I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I listen to other podcasts also. So I was listening to this one of the audiobook where she used the word life book.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I changed it to that, from my life book, reading
Mm-hmm.
out the better version chapters.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I feel is that I'm a very apt example of somebody who was born in a middle class family in a two-tier city where very, very less resources were available. But I always had this global thinking. I
Mm-hmm.
always had this sixth sense and a gut feeling that this is the future,
Mm-hmm.
which I do not know how. I was just gifted, I feel. So in that case, I feel that, and the graph of my life, where I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of professional setbacks also, I've seen a personal setback also. So I felt that, I think the chapters that I would read from my life can help someone else to become a better version. So that's how the total voice of my podcast is.
Oh, great. It's really funny how we got the name, because how I actually got my name for the podcast, I actually had it like I kind of forgot something related to passion. That's what I had the name as a podcast was. But then there's a series called Sex Education. That's just English series, and it's really a fun one. And there will be a guy. He will say that you can just open your new open your new shop or anything, and you can name it as the Teen Whisperer. You can name it as that. And I wondered, like, that's a really nice name. I just typed it. No one has a name, so I took it. I'm still trying to patent it, but I couldn't get that copyright and everything and stuff. I was trying because I don't know. It was a really good name, and yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why it got. But I don't know. I think people take everything from everyone these days. So I don't feel guilty like having that name, Ankush, I guess.
No, there is no need to feel guilty, because
Yeah.
there is a book also which says that there are only 101 original ideas in this world. Rest
Mm-hmm.
all are circulating like energy. So we always pick up some or the other idea from someone else.
Mm-hmm.
There will always be a small teeny weeny thread which will be pick up, and then we might develop that as an idea and then later on as content. But we always pick up things from something else.
Oh, that just made me feel better, actually. Oh wow. Okay. So this is something that I want to ask you. It's like out of the box question, and before going into another chapter, is that who was the last person that you actually made smile today?
And I made smile today.
Yeah.
I think my daughter. Actually, it should be last person would be that, the last message which I received last night on my Instagram, that when a person who heard my podcast and said, when I heard your podcast, there was a smile
Uh-huh.
on my face. So that's the person I made
Yeah.
smile.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I think because when I interview people from the US or anything like that, it will be morning there. Okay, it will be night for me, and they would say it will be myself, because when I wake up in the morning at looking at the mirror myself, all this floppy and everything, I actually smile myself. That's what they would say. So yeah, I think that's a very good example. I kind of asked it because my kind of vision is that human should impact another human's life. Like, that's how the circle actually goes, according to me, at least. So if you could answer that question easily, then obviously, like, you've impacted someone's life, and you did, when you received the message last night. So yeah, that's one of the things I always ask. So one thing before going on to another segment I actually have for surprise is that how to improve your slang or voice. Like, you're an artist, like, you always do everything. So skill is another bonus thing. So what do you give any tips and tricks that cannot be found on YouTube according to your personal things?
Well, for good voice, or
Mm-hmm.
to basically improve your bass in your voice, I think the most tried and tested exercise, which
Mm-hmm.
majorly all the theater people, all the voice coaches will tell you, is to chant Om. If
Mm-hmm.
you are of some other spirituality or some other religion, you don't want to chant Om, I'll give you another word which is very close to Om, and that is home. Okay.
Ah.
So if you chant home, that also gives you a similar sound of
Mm-hmm.
Om. Number one. Number two, again, number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are going to be practice, 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 practice.
Mm-hmm.
See, there was a time when I had very good US accent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I stopped practicing and I forgot that US accent. Now I completely deny doing all the voiceovers which have got US accent,
Mm-hmm.
simply because I was lazy enough to revise or practice that. Now I myself have taken up that challenge that in 21 days I will again learn the British accent.
Wow, good choice. I
Okay.
was about to say that you can earn. I was about to say that. Wow, wow, awesome, awesome.
so so British accent,
Mm-hmm.
to learn that, I have devised my own exercises. Okay. Now it's totally up to me. As much as I will practice, I will attain it. So one exercise is this. Second exercise is that whenever you read anything,
Mm-hmm.
reading is a very good exercise. Be it be a newspaper article or any book. Read while imagining every word.
Hmm.
Okay, so there has to be a story going on in your mind or in front of your eyes whenever you are reading. It
Hmm.
also helps in slowing down your pace when you talk. Second, it also helps you to open your mouth correctly, to give
Hmm.
every word the correct weightage that is required.
Hmm.
I think these are the two basic exercises that one should do. It will help you a lot.
Oh, great. And just one thing is that my mom always says, I kind of have this nasal block sometimes whenever it is, it's kind of hereditary thing, and until 30 years of age, we have this, kind of wheezing. So my mom always says that do breathing exercise, like, breathe in and breathe out. That's all my mom always should. Does it also work? Because my mom always says that. So just, I'm just clarifying it.
So here I would like to give you two tips.
Mm-hmm.
One is that I also have got acute nasal problem. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I sound a little bit nasal also.
Mm-hmm.
People who are of utmost voice talent can definitely pick that out from my voice. That yes, at times I sound nasal, and because I also have got sinus problem.
Mm-hmm.
So this the breathing exercise helps. And second tip is that moms are always right. Okay.
You are saying this because you are a mom right now. If you are at my age, you obviously wouldn't have that.
No matter which era mom am I, moms are always right. So follow your mom. Whatever she says, she's always correct.
You just
Yes,
savaged me. Do you
breathing
know that?
helps.
You just savaged me. Uh, all right. So next is I actually have a kind of rapid fire round. Like, I can ask different questions related to podcasting and kind of life and funny. So you just have to answer it in a single line or two. That's totally enough for that. Sounds cool.
Absolutely. You be rapid and I'm always on fire.
All right. So the first question is, what do you like about podcast?
They are a medium which do not disturb you while you are working. Like I'm cycling and I can listen to a podcast and I feel very happy about myself that I'm in that intellectual circle where I'm learning something new every day.
Awesome. So what do you don't like about podcast?
What I don't like about podcast is that they're not giving me money.
Awesome. So what are the single biggest problem that you're actually facing when it comes to podcasting?
People do not know where to listen podcast.
Awesome. Next is, if you have never done podcast, like, you have never started it, and then what else you would have done in that free time?
Sorry, what?
If you have never done the podcast, then what else you would have done in that time?
What else I would have done?
Yeah.
Oh, I prepare one YouTube video a week. I'm
Mhm.
also working on my online course. I've just completed my first online course.
Oh.
Second online course is on the way.
Mhm.
I'm also a Kathak student. So I really have to churn out time for podcast. I homeschool my daughter.
Mhm.
So I take out like 2.5 hours a day to teach her
Mhm.
and basic home chores.
Mhm.
So I actually take out time to work on my podcast. So that question is very invalid in my case.
So it's like you want to do podcast, you wanted it no matter what. That's how it is.
Exactly.
Wow, this is a different answer I've ever received so far. All right. So the fifth question is that if you are ever hit by a car, right? I'm not taking this in negative sense, just saying hit by a car and your just face is full of airbag, and who would be the last person that you ever come into your mind?
My daughter, of course.
Well, in case if if she isn't there, just saying if she, because obviously your mother obviously say her. It's an obvious question for an obvious answer. Just in case if there's someone else, who would be the second last person?
I think my current boyfriend.
That's a nice one. Awesome. So the final question is that, so if in case you found this interview really boring and you want to get out of this interview, what excuse would you say?
I never make any conversation. I never let go any conversation boring. I am a very
Mhm.
interesting person. I make every conversation very interesting. That is why my podcast series is on dates.
Mhm.
And everybody I dated, no matter we dated again or not,
Mhm.
the one thing I always got is that you are a very interesting person. No
Mhm.
matter, if the date went ahead in any kind of further relationship, but they always said that they really enjoyed the date. So I never let any conversation go boring. I always make it interesting.
You know, I'm supposed to ask the questions and you're supposed to answer it. It's not rejecting you, actually rejecting every single question. So if in case it went like a little bit of boring, so what excuse would you say to go out? Just hypothetically speaking. Oh my god, this is actually one of the coolest tricks, but still, I think. Are you actually going? Or you? Oh no, you're not stuck.
Oh, I
Please.
think we lost the connection. I would just for this and also lost the connection. That's
But
it.
that's actually weird, post. People don't trust this that I think so. Wow, awesome. So just one final question before closing is that what would you give as a best tip to a fellow podcaster who's actually just starting now the podcast? If we ask you for the best tip, what would you give?
Uh, Please go watch my YouTube videos, which I've made. Launch your podcast in 3 steps.
Mm-hmm.
My YouTube channel is RJ Aakanksha. These 3 videos will help you to start your podcast in the best possible manner. Just
Mm-hmm.
3 videos and 3 steps. Very, very important. My YouTube channel is RJ Aakanksha.
Well, I have to say, you really know how to make use of the situation. Trust me, even if you are, left in an island with no water, nothing, you definitely make out of it. It's actually a compliment. Or it's actually a
But
compliment.
island would be surrounded with water.
It's
Island would be
salt water.
surrounded with
You
water.
can't you can't do that. But
You
you will
just
make.
what
Oh
you
my.
just need to do. Yeah, you
Yeah, I can understand what you're going to
you
answer.
can survive. Hmm.
Wow. I think I've never been savaged ever in my podcast ever. So I think this is going to be like I'm going to
Because
put
this time you're talking to a mom.
and an RJ. Obviously, you are more experienced than I am. Yeah. Yes. Wow. That's good. That's good. So yeah, is there anything else you want to ask me? Like tables turn. Like you are now the interviewer. I'm the guy who's a guest. So is there anything else you want to ask me?
Okay, the most boring guest till date, who was just answering in yes and no.
Okay. No, actually, I had worse than that because once I had a guest, I mean, like, I never know he was not a guest actually until he got on. He was actually sleeping and he was answering my question, and he didn't even have his face, shown, and he didn't even say that. No, actually, I'm not a guest. I'm just here to ask questions, and he didn't even say that. I was like, "Hey guys, welcome to the 8th episode." I was saying that, and he was still sleeping, and he didn't answer the question yet. And only even after finishing, he didn't say he was not a guest. And one day after going out to the Facebook comments, I saw that I'm only here to ask questions. I didn't see that. I just saw I would love to come here as a guest just to ask questions. That part I left out. So that was the first, just for 15 minutes it was, but it actually hurt in a personal level really a lot because he was sleeping and I don't know. I seriously get, kind of really, my heart really breaks every single time I think of that.
Okay, and any guest who you chased a lot to get on board.
Chased a lot. Well, considering season 3 and 4 so far is you, obviously. Exactly.
I
I'm
replied to you
yeah.
very instantly.
How to say, like, texting 2 3 times, like, asking and everything and stuff, like, reminder and everything, like, how to say, um, I don't know, waiting for that long much time. That actually I'm saying, but
Okay. And when are you making money out of your podcast?
not like in a sponsorship way, but sometimes I get clients out of it. I actually made $100 like doing a video edit for a guest that actually came out of my podcast. So yeah, getting clients in a way, but I'm not interested in sponsorships and everything. Just maybe someone who wants to do this editing for me or anything like that. I'll do that, but not in a sponsorship. But yeah, I got $100 out of it.
Okay. And last question is going to be that do you feel that you do not have any energy left in doing any more podcast episodes?
Mentally no, but physically my ear actually kind of started to hurt because I've been doing podcasts, like 2 podcasts every single day for for 7 days in a straight row. So obviously I actually had this as an headset. I kind of changed it and had this. So yeah, do you have any tips for the ears not to hurt? Because it's hurting a lot when it comes to like you're talking like for hard every single like 2 hours every single day continuously. Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Simple questions. No ulterior, no explicit stuff.
Yeah, well, when I close this, I will get the same stuff. Oh my god, what is she has asked? Oh my god, I trust me, I've never been savaged more. So I don't know. I'm going to promote this post a lot, because when you actually embarrass yourself in something, that actually with everything will ever get hit. That kind of saying in India. If you embarrass yourself, you'll get hit. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that is actually the current wave also.
Yeah, that's it. So thanks so much for coming on the show. Really means a lot. And guys, this is I don't know, I'm running out of words actually, because every single time the last I would say like there are tons of things that you can do. We had discussed a lot, but I don't know. So we have discussed a lot of things in this podcast, like being how an RJ actually works, and how the voice actually improves yourself a lot. And she has given best tip like to follow her on YouTube channel, and I've given the link in the comment section below, so you can go and check that out. And Akanksha, if you have like any place to find you, like other than on YouTube or anything else, like what are the places that people can find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, on these are the social media sites by the handle RJ Aakanksha. I spell my name double A. So these are the social media places where you can find, and once you will find me there, you will always find me in your heart. So handle with care and love.
Wow. Oh my god. I think this is actually a show hosted by RJ Aakanksha rather than the Jeffrey Bubri. So you can I think actually I'm going to put a handle on that. So thanks so much for listening to this podcast. And is there anything else you want to contribute at last? Just saying.
Thank you so much. It is so lovely. I do not know if you're actually in your teens or not, but I can definitely contemplate that you are way younger to me. And along with your studies and along with a lot of stuff, I'm sure you must be busy. You're taking time out to do a podcast. That is a very good thing about you. Keep doing that, and keep spreading smile and love. Or should I say, keep whispering smile and love.
I'm going to use a sentence as a promo for my very funny podcast. Thanks for that. Guys,
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for listening, guys, and I will see you guys in the next podcast.